Well, folks, get ready for the runway. Fashion Week is just about here, but first, new looks from Africa are taking center stage. Africa Fashion Week is an event that showcases creativity and inspiration from all over that wonderful continent. Often the clothing represents the work of people who are lifting themselves up, giving it an even brighter appeal. As many of you saw, Dr. Jill Biden is the wife of America's vice president. After visiting a workshop in Congo, she wore a special dress at the Africa Summit in Washington, D.C. And she is hardly alone in her enthusiasm. We're delighted to welcome Adiat Disu, founder of Africa Fashion Week, and Nigerian designer Issa Williams. Adiat, first of all, congratulations and welcome to the show. Tell us about this event, because many people haven't heard about it here in the United States.
Thank you so much for having me. Africa Fashion Week, at its conception, its main focus was to blend an aesthetic with some type of story, with a meaning, and an awareness. So, and a byproduct of that was economic empowerment for African designers globally, as well as raising awareness for sustainable efforts, both nonprofit and individuals.
Now, I want to talk about, and that's a great, great thing. But obviously, people want to see what you guys are putting together, because obviously they want to wear it.
Yes.
You know, many of us are so ignorant in other parts of the country outside of Africa in terms of the kind of designs that you come up with. Why don't you talk? In fact, Issa, I want to bring you into this conversation because you're a designer. Talk about some of the things you do design.
Well, I like to design functional pieces, and by functional, I mean it has a purpose and it looks good. Always has to look good. And I design out of leather so that I'd like my grandchildren to carry my stuff and people's grandchildren to carry their stuff. Might be a little steep in price, but
you know something,
a lifetime.
There's a saying here, you get what you pay for. So if it's expensive, probably 9 times out of 10, it's probably better and probably will last longer than something that's kind of cheap to begin with.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm not a big fashion enthusiast myself. I'm more of a hardcore news kind of guy. My wife is into this kind of, you know, she has all sorts of clothes all over the house, and there's like a ton of stuff everywhere. When I see Fashion Week here in the United States and I see some of the things that these models are wearing down the runway, I'm saying, well, wait a minute, most women don't wear those kinds of things out in the street. But I would assume that your particular event perhaps is different. In fact, we're looking at some of the models here, and some of these things look like they're very functional. They're very pretty, but they're also very functional at the same time. Talk to me about some of the outfits we're looking at here.
So some of the outfits that you're seeing, well, the one that I'm wearing is by Tiagbe. It is called Kososhi, and it's a movement of wealth. And there is no poverty, there is no frustration, just a pure movement of wealth. And so most of the designs that you see are designers from Africa. We were just looking at Liz Ogombo, who's from South Africa. And again, just functional pieces inspired by Africa, some using textiles that are indigenous to individuals' countries, but also fusing other textures and textiles as well.
And we're looking at more of some of the fabrics here, from what many of us in the West would see maybe not as traditional as some of the West African fabrics that you see over here with the dashikis and those kinds of things here. You've got some wonderful colors. Some are actually very toned down. Yeah. Like this wonderful, beautiful looking woman here.
That's by Ruben Royal. He is actually based in Brooklyn.
Really?
An African-American, a black. So we do promote Pan-Africanism. It's huge to us because it's about unity.
Right.
So you're seeing a Brooklyn-based designer who grew up in the church and was inspired by the women of Africa coming to church and seeing their elaborate wares.
So the diaspora at its best, of course,
Absolutely.
is seeing that. In terms of the kind of fabrics that you use, Issa, I see you have you're adorned with a garment around your neck. What kind of fabric is this?
This is Ankara. It's just it's African print, and we were just throwing around one day, and a friend was like, "Ooh, this looks good around your neck." So, and you know.
No, it does. It really does.
And as I was walking out the door, my friend who I gave it to was like, "You need to take the good luck scarf," and throws it around my neck. So.
Adiat, I want to hear some names, because you threw out some names of designers, and I'm hoping and praying that these names become household words like Straness and others. Just rattle off some names of some of these African designers, of course, outside of Issa, that are up and coming on the scene.
So there's 2 Nigerian designers that are actually sponsored by Spice TV, a media platform in Nigeria, Wisdom Franklin, as well as Mekmeka. They're coming from Nigeria. Then we have Sally Karago, who's from Kenya, who's coming. And then we've had various designers, the likes of Adiat Disu from Angola, Faraisi Moi from Zimbabwe, Kotom Omolu from Liberia, Project Runway star. Everybody really knows her and loves her pieces. So yeah.
You know, I've got to ask also, you know, if I were to take my wife, of course, I mean, I'm not obviously going to be wearing a dress, but if I'm taking my wife to one of these events, I think the question is, you've got functionality, and obviously a lot of these designs, and Issa yourself included, they're just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. But in terms of price, you talked about things being functional, but also kind of expensive. Am I going to have to mortgage my house for one of these dresses if I were to buy something for my wife? You've got that look on your face.
No, well, just take your wife. It's okay.
Oh, gosh.
We're going to have to talk about it. What are we talking about in terms of price? Say for the average person. I mean, you know, I don't want to promote any kind of a particular store over another, but as I say, Nordstrom's or Lord & Taylor's over like a Marshall's or something like that. Where can you expect to find these items?
Well, for the most part, many of the designers, they stock online. A few of them do have boutiques that stock them in New York as well as internationally. Many in the UK as well as South Africa. One that comes to mind is Burgundy Fly. They have a retail store in South Africa, and they carry a lot of designers as well. We
just want to show one thing real quick. We've got less than a minute left, but Jill Biden, we had the wrong video up there, and we have the actual still of her at the...
I know.
There, and there goes the
dress. A woman of my heart.
My God,
I think she was in my closet, actually.
I will look at it. We got the same colors on.
No, but I'm really, my hats are off to the First Lady and the Second Lady. As we know, Michelle Obama was wearing, you know, Duro Luo to South Africa, her trip, so I'm really happy. Okay, we've run out of time here, but Adiat Disu and, of course, Issa Williams. Guys, thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited, too.
All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us for a Rise Review. I'm Julian Phillips. Have a great and wonderful and prosperous and productive week.